All right, here we go. At the background. Big. Little Tommy. Pretty cool. Johnny. Hello, Tommy.
Hi, Jerry. How are you?
Oh, wow, man. This is a great surprise. I'm glad to see you.
Yeah, glad to see you too.
I sure appreciate all the information you've been sharing with me.
Well, that stuff that you sent kind of recharged me running that direction again. I get sidetracked on other stuff, and it kind of swung me back around that direction. The two senses, that was interesting because I've never had much luck finding the Moss folks in my family tree in the 1870 census. And after you sent me those two things, I got to thinking about it and looking around, and I think some of those folks went to northern Louisiana right after the Civil War, because I'm finding some brothers and sisters over there. But like I said in the email, I match a lot of folks from that area, and both from Reuben and from Rufus Moss. So I don't know if they're related or not, but there is something going on there.
Yes, and Taylor and Columbia County, it's just right across from Louisiana.
It is. Yeah, they're right there close to the Red River.
Oh yeah, Red River.
It's that whole area from Texarkana through Hope and Magnolia.
Yeah, Ozan. Our family started off in Ozan Township in Hempstead County.
Right.
In the 1850s.
Right. I suspect.
And that slaveholder's name was William Moss.
Right. Right. So he's not. So my Moss, those folks came from Alabama in 1850, right after the old man died, the patron of the family. So he's the one who moved that family from Kentucky to Alabama. And then they moved, after he passed away, it appears they all moved to southwest Arkansas. And then from there, after the Civil War, so they all fought in the Civil War and were, captains of the Confederate, all that crap, right? So, so after the Civil War, what it looks like my bunch took off, because I know that a bunch of them ended up in Louisiana, and the bunch directly, on top of me in the family tree, they moved to Texas. And that's where that whole Moss family end up being in the Lewis family. So that's where all that comes together. But like I said, I counted like 14 people that I matched DNA with, and I could tell that y'all have been adding some folks, because that's the lady that I sent you,
Judy.
Yes. That lady appears to be new.
And she is.
Yeah, and I found some others too. There's a young lady that joins this meeting occasionally, Rachel or Raquel. Yeah. I match her as well.
Yeah, and that is Val's niece.
Yes, and then Pat McGee, of course, I match him, and we know that whole story, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
from James Monroe.
Yes, exactly. So we know how all that works. So I have a guy in my family tree that would have been about the right age in Arkansas. I'm too close, I think, for the Centimorgans, I think, are too close for it to go all the way back to Alabama. I think that this link probably happened in Arkansas, and I've got one guy that I think is probably the right age and the right person to be doing all this. So,
what do you mean doing all this?
he
He means humping.
He's messing around where he shouldn't have been messing around. You know, all that stuff gets buried, right? And so digging it back out is difficult.
Well, who was it?
His name is Jackson Carroll Coffee Moss. And it usually shows up as JCC Moss, but his full name. So Thomas Moss, that came from Kentucky, he is Jackson's father. And Jackson is the one that moved his family and his mother, which would have been Thomas's wife, and a bunch of them to Arkansas.
Are you talking about are you talking about my second grandfather, Thomas Moss?
No.
You're talking about the ones that you gave me on this list right here.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. That's one. Yeah. So I think he was I think a captain in the Confederate Army, and owned a bunch of slaves. His son, they had some slaves in his name. His brother, William Moss, this is where I got confused. His brother, William Moss, is not the same William Moss that you've been talking about. Because he stayed in Alabama. My William Moss never left Alabama. So I see some other folks joining, so I didn't mean to hijack here.
No, that's fine. Just continue, because this is like I get a chance to talk to you, and I have my tree available, and I want to share my tree with you. Hello, family.
I went looking for it, and you got it tied up, and I couldn't see it, so
okay, let me just see here.
I want to look at some folks in your tree, and I couldn't see it.
So those don't have, okay, this. All right, let me open them up.
Like I said, I didn't mean to hijack, because I know you got
no.
I saw your agenda, and y'all got stuff to do, and I didn't.
Oh no, this is a priority. I'm digging deeper into it, and this is the portion that some people call it a brick wall, and from the 1850 census. But what's happening here, because that's where they only had names, and you know they only had names and age and race.
Yeah.
Of the enslaved people, and they had the slave owner's name. So I see.
I know they had a lot of slaves, because at one point I counted up 70 slaves and never got around to, because I know that some of his, this is Thomas Moss again, back in Alabama, some of his daughters also, their families had slaves too. So, and then of course they had remarried, new name and stuff. So that was the way they did their deal.
Let's see here. Okay, let me do this. Come back out here. And I'm going to go full screen and then I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna go full screen and then I'm gonna share this.
All right. Yeah.
You okay? You all right, Eflin? You had
Mhm.
text me. All right, so here's what we have. Can you see this tree here?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me make it a little bigger. Here's Thomas.
Oh, so you're calling, oh, I see. Okay, I got you.
Him and City.
Right. So I call him Reuben. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. That's Reuben. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. I
and
see his son, Thomas.
yeah, and Thomas is my great grandfather. This Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Right here. Make it a little bigger. This Thomas right here is my great grandfather,
Uh-huh.
and Della Heron is my great grandma.
Ah.
And so these are the brothers and sisters of Thomas. Samuel, Lena, all the ones over on this side. And here's Tom. I have a double on that one. This is the correct one. And Lena, and there's Luther. You see
Yeah.
Luther right here?
Uh-huh.
Jeannie,
Uh-huh.
Fred. Well, these Luther and Fred were porters, and were um, they were porters, and they moved to during the Great Migration. They were porters, Pullman porters, and they went back and forth from East Coast to, I mean, I know to the West Coast,
Yeah.
because that's where they eventually lived in East LA. And they are shown on the census as porters for the Van Nuys Hotel when it was new downtown.
Ah, I got you.
And so they lived in East LA, and then they brought their mother and father, City and Reuben, out to California between 1910 and 1918 because these two they brought their mother and father right here, Reuben and City, out to Los Angeles because in 1910, Reuben and City are shown in Arkansas in Prescott,
Mm.
and they had their grandkids
Mm-hmm.
who were staying with them. And then between 1910 and 1918, these brothers moved this family out to Los Angeles. And so they lived in Los Angeles, where both Reuben and City passed away within a month of each other in 1918. And we don't know if it was from love, how much they loved each other, or was it from the Spanish flu?
Yeah, yeah. My folks, some of those folks got Spanish flu. In fact, my great grandmother, that's where the Moss name entered the family, and she died of the Spanish flu in 1918. Her and one of her children died.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
There must be a connection. And so uh, Reuben and City, they were buried in Evergreen Cemetery in East LA and in 1918. And so in 2019, while I was up there visiting my son Jerry, who's on this call,
I saw.
I
Yeah.
went and visited the cemetery and visited the grave sites.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the migration. These brothers, and so I have and these sisters, Lena came out to California. So they had Lena, she came out to California. So these brothers and sisters, they all came out to California. That's part of their migration patterns. So I have a lot of them, and they brought their mother right here and father out. So that's what I do know. But up here, look at all these different. These are some of the names that I gleaned from trees. Because here's William Jack. He shows up in the 1870 census and has his kids, but now he has a name. Look at that, William Jack.
So where was he? Is he from? Where did he live?
He lives. He's from. Let's take a look at him. But look at these names. I just want you to see these names. So
yeah, I see that. I see that. C.C. Moss.
Does that sound like somebody that you're familiar with?
No, but the guy I was telling you about before in my tree his name is Jackson C.C. Moss, and that just caught my eye.
Okay, Jackson C.C. Moss.
Yeah.
What do you have any information on him, on his age or anything like that?
Jackson? Oh yeah, I got everything. Yeah. Everything other than the 1870 census. I can't find him. I've got him in the all the way from the 1800s up until he died in the early 1900s in Texas.
Okay. Well, anyway, here's some other names. John Henry, Parsons Moss, William J. Moss.
Would you click on one of those so I can see where they this top row I've never seen. Some of these folks in the Reuben and stuff, I've seen that before. Some of this is new stuff here, that William Jack Moss. Yeah, just pick one and click on. I want to see their profile. If you don't mind.
All right.
Double click. You may have to double click it. Yeah, there you come up for a second, and then
let me move this up.
Yeah.
I don't know why it says.
I don't know why it's doing that either. I see what I want to see for just a second, and then it throws you over there to that other screen for some reason.
Well, let's
yeah, I'm sorry.
Let me see what it does. Anyway, let me finish a couple questions with you. That being said, we're looking at a Jackson Carroll Moss. Do you believe that person has descendants that match you and some of my cousins?
I know for sure he matches me for a fact, because I have 150 something people that say they match him and I match them and all that kind of, through true lines and stuff. Now, what I don't know is if he's the exact person, but he's in the right place. He brought the slaves from Alabama to Southwest Arkansas in that same area where we're all at. His sons were too young for their 5 or whatever in 1850 when he comes over there. So I think he's probably the best bet. What I'd like for you to do, I'd like to see your tree, and I saw it's private, and that's good. That's fine. If you can invite me to look at it, if you don't mind, in read only, where I can kind of, because what I want to do is I want to start some of that stuff I've never seen before, and I want to start looking closer at that, and then closer in what, and like I said, make it read only. Just invite me to view it as read only, and it'll send me a link, I think, that I can click, and that way at least I can look around. And
okay, I definitely do that.
Yeah, let's do that. We're at a good spot though. I think we're getting closer.
Yeah, my other question could I don't like to use conjunctions, could, would, and that kind of information. But could it be from a female, a black, a black male,
So
one of the males to a white daughter or something?
so I've thought about that, and so my ethnicity doesn't show that. It shows that I'm all from Europe. I don't have any percentage whatsoever that shows from Africa. Now, if you remember, and
how could that be? And you match them. You match Val in big numbers.
Okay, so if you remember, there was a lady on this call. I can't remember her name. She's written a book. She has family.
Juanita.
Is it Juanita?
Yes.
And she presented a deal at a GEDmatch that it was a chromosome browser. And what it showed that you and Val descended from y'all's ethnicity is black. And then Val and I descend from somebody whose ethnicity was white. So what I think happens, I think this is a white slave owner. And I think that he was moving. See, what's confusing me here, well, not confusing me, but I told you there is a Rufus Moss, right? And I match a half a dozen people there. And then I match a half a dozen people that have taken DNA tests under Reuben Thomas Moss. So I think that's what happened. I've taken a bunch of DNA tests, and nothing's ever shown me anything other than my family originated from Wales and Scotland and a little bit of Norway and Finland, and that's it. There's nothing else anywhere in there. And believe me, I've looked because I've suspected, but I've never been able to prove it. But there's nothing, I can't find anything. So I think the ancestor is a black woman and a white man. And I descended from the white man, and then all these other people came from the black woman, and the children were integrated into the black family. And I think that's what happened. I could be wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff. But
oh no, does anybody have any questions for Tommy from listening at this conversation? What about you, Jerry?
Hey, Tommy.
Hi, Jerry.
No, I've been listening to it because there was something else I was doing, but I find it really, really interesting, Tommy. And I look forward to you getting to the bottom of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll figure it out. I've thought about it a lot, to be honest with you, and I've tried to figure out who's done what, and that's what I've come up with and what I believe. And I think there's probably a couple of different families, at least, that were former slaves that had children from him, from this Jackson C.C. Moss. I don't even like discussing this. At one point, it was profitable for them, the slave owners, to have as many kids that they considered black as possible, because those folks, after the Civil War, they got back what was coming to them. Because what happened is, if you look at the census, after they lost the slaves, their value went to nothing. So on the census, right, their assets went to nothing. So what they were doing is
because they were property.
Exactly. And so in today's money, it would have been probably $20,000 a person, right? If you kind of look at what they were selling them for and buying them for and stuff, and this and that and the other. And then they turn around, if you convert that to today's money, so all the kids they can have. And there's also there's a whole mindset for a white slave owner. I mean, again, it's property. So the women to him,
which meant wealth.
It did.
And who could work the land. And I know that, not to interrupt you, and I know that that's what the men, some of the men did, but like for what they did with the women was
Yeah.
really hideous.
Yes.
You know, they were just straight out. They just had them set up to be breeders with as many people as possible. They had
Yeah, the justification.
breeding stables, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With women and many different men, and they wanted to as many kids as they can get.
Yes. And they got in the mix as well. The white slave owners did. And I think that's what happened here. I really do.
And Tommy, I think just me personally, it takes some courage, you know, for you to even want to know your history, and then on this platform kind of, you know, talk to us the way you have. I feel like I wish more people would be open and you know, want to talk about it, and you know, I think it would help relations between blacks, whites, I mean, all kinds, if we could all just really sit down honestly and talk and not take things personally, but learn from one another, because you know, I think we'd all get along a lot better. But I applaud you for you know, your courage.
Very much. I appreciate that. It's a subject that to me, it's so is that the word? I'm going to say so not the whole slavery thing. I don't ever understand. I haven't been able to understand how they justified it. And I know that they used the Bible to justify it, and that makes no sense to me at all, but they did. The white slave owner says, well, it says in the Bible this and that about slaves, and this, and that makes no sense to me at all. And the whole thing is ugly, and the way it happened is ugly, but there's nothing I can do about it but just try to understand what happened. And you know, to me, people are people. It doesn't matter one way or the other. What
They're gone. You know, they're gone, but the truth can't be hidden.
no.
And I'm gonna follow up on what Jerry said. For us, this is a harvest for all the time that we spent researching and reconstructing our family.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this science, and then we have these people who are alive right now who can just share a story. We don't know exactly who, but
No.
the connection is what Jerry is saying, that you've been. What I get out of this is you're a white relative that has a story that we normally wouldn't hear, and you're related to us. You see?
Well, to be honest with you, none of this was handed down. And so I'm sure that from that family, the only thing I knew about my great grandmother was her last name was Moss, and that she died of the Spanish flu. That's the only, they've never said anything. And the only way I even found any of this information was when you and Val started contacting me. And I started looking at some of my DNA matches, and I go, you know, there's something going on here. Before people getting tested, and I'm starting to match them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought about it both ways, and you know, whether it could be well, couldn't this be a black man and a white woman, or a white man and a black woman? And I just, like I said, I don't have any ethnicity that shows that. But we do match. All my cousins, you know, I can go look and see this person, Val, matches me and a bunch of my cousins, right? And so and then they match a bunch of her family, right? So it's definitely something happened. And again, thinking about it and stuff, I kind of got an idea, and I kind of got an idea who the person was, but I can't put him in. Well, I can put him in the right place, but I can't prove he's the one.
What do you mean you can put him in the right place? You can put him in what part of Arkansas can you put him in? Ozan County?
Yes. So I can put, let me look.
Ozan Township.
I'll tell you where I can put him in 1850. Give me just a second here.
Let me, you can share your screen. Make sure you can do that. Okay, go ahead.
You see my screen?
Not yet. You can. See if it shows up.
Yeah.
I can't see it yet.
Did you share it or do I need to share it?
You have to
All right.
go to share and then sources should come up and then you can pick. There you go.
There you
go. Okay.
This is my great grandmother, Mineola Moss. Right here. Her dad, this is the guy I mentioned, Jackson Carroll Coffee Moss. What's it doing? What's it doing?
That's her father?
Do what? Yes, that's her grandfather. Her father is this guy. He was born in Arkansas, this Walter Scott Moss.
Uh-huh.
So let's see here. Jackson Carroll, where was he? So in 1850, he's in Alabama. So he's in the same county, that Columbia County. He's an area called Alabama Township.
Yeah, I saw that. They're close by.
Yeah, it's in the same county, and the counties are not very big to start out with. Right. So that's where he was at. Him and all of his family.
Hold it. I've seen that name,
Mary Polly.
Mary
Yeah.
Polly, yeah.
I was just going to say that. That's probably where it's at too.
Y'all see something I didn't?
Mary Polly.
Oh, right there. Mary Jane.
No, down further.
Lucy Ann, Francis J, Walter Scott. So this bunch, he ended up.
No, hold it. Keep going down. On your names. Let me see if I can.
Mary Jane.
You might need to go up.
William, Emily, and maybe it was over here. So let's see it.
Nah.
Anyway, that's where he was.
There she is.
Where?
Did you see her?
Go back up.
Oh, where's she?
Boy, she just thought.
Come on down. Come on down some more.
Y'all looking on this side or this side?
Come on that side. Yeah, yes. Keep going. Keep going, please.
Oh, there you go. That's his sister.
Now, whose sister is that?
That is his sister.
Jack, the Jackson Carroll Moss.
Right there. Yes, it's one of his siblings.
All right.
This guy never made it. This is the guy I chased for a while. He never made it to Arkansas. He stayed in Alabama. I see what you're saying. That's his sister. Right.
She's been in a lot of trees that I've seen her.
She ended up, some of his siblings.
Look at that, 1870, Mary Polly.
Hempstead County, that's close.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's where we are in Hempstead County, Ozan.
Yeah.
Where is she showing? That's where she's showing up at, Tommy.
And she died in 1870. So
come down some more.
1860. She
I want to see her name at the her profile.
Oh, her profile
up at the top there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Okay. So she passed away in 1870, and that's your third great aunt.
Yeah.
In Hempstead, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, we do see her name.
Yeah, quite a bit.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, that's why we're
I know you see her in Francis' page, Francis Haywood. Yeah.
And another thing too, Tommy, that's how we can, when we see things like that in our trees, all we see is the name. We don't know if that's,
Right.
a white person or a black person.
Right. That's when it helps to have, I was asking about the other lady having pictures of like her mother and father, or not pictures, but at least their names and stuff. So that of the mother and father, that helps me. What I do is if I can't find the common ancestor, then I build a tree for Rufus Moss. I build a tree for Reuben Moss, and I try to, figure out where Val goes and where Jerry Moss goes and all these folks go. And then all these people are all in the same area. That Hempstead, that's right next to Nevada, which is right above Columbia County.
Yeah, Ozan County. It's Ozan Township in
Right.
Hempstead County.
Right.
Yeah. So continue your presentation.
That's it. That's the guy, I think. And again, it's a matter of proving it.
At Jackson Curl, where was he? Where was he at? Is this him, Jackson Curl?
Yeah, this is him. He is my great grandmother's grandfather. And this was her father, Walter Scott Moss. See, he's too young. He was born in 1854.
1854.
And it was in Texas by 1870, probably. Well, yeah, I know he was. Yeah, right here, 1880.
Take a look at that Jackson Curl. Curl. Is that him? Jackson Curl Coffee.
It's Jackson Carroll Coffee Moss. And sometimes you just see it JCC Moss, or sometimes you see it Jackson CC Moss. That's his story.
Have you had any? Has anybody through your research? Have you had any information about him?
Just that, like I said, he was quite a bit of stuff. He was in the Confederate Army as a captain. There he is, shows up as a captain in the Confederate Army in Arkansas. Yeah, there's Jackson C.C. Moss, Company E11th Arkansas Infantry. And there he shows up, the House of Representatives from Columbia County.
Just Creaton, all those are our areas, Creaton and all in those areas.
It's all the same area.
Oh, so here's
where this is where he was. This is from his will, and these
keep that right there for a second.
These are some of the slaves that he willed to his daughters, and then there's his son Jackson. He died in Alabama. Thomas Moss. He was a preacher, Baptist minister, I think is what his deal was.
Well, our family were preachers.
Yeah.
Reuben Moss was a preacher.
Right.
And some of those names, Rufus Moss is Rufus white or dark? White.
It's Rufus.
Tupali.
See, I don't know if he's the same Rufus Moss that's in this will, is the one that's in Arkansas. A boy named Rufus to help him raise the children. I guess his daughter died. Yeah, she had died. I don't know if he went to Arkansas or not. I've never looked at that. This is a summation. The will is like 2 pages long.
Probably the word boy tell you the story, boy.
Let's see, look at that. Look at the woman Peggy and her little girl Mary to Polly Moss Lewis.
There you go. That's the Polly we were looking at a while ago. She married a Lewis, not any of my Lewises that I know of, just another Lewis.
And my history, my ancestors, they would say Alabama, but they didn't say what, like they were born in Alabama and their father were born in Alabama, but they didn't say where. And I know you have like Franklin County.
Yeah, yeah. Franklin County's where all these people came from. That's where they settled. And all those people moved west as they were chasing free land, right? So and they eventually moved to Texas and figured that they could fight the Native Americans and beat them out of their land. But so they moved from Kentucky to Alabama, big farm, lots of slaves. Alabama to Southwest Arkansas, farm, slaves, Civil War, then to Kentucky. I mean, then to Texas and Louisiana. Anyway, that's it.
Do you have other wills like that?
No, I actually found that on Ancestry someplace, and in fact, somebody had attached it to him. The whole will is somewhere in here, I think. Nah, let's see. There he is in Texas. Where is his will? I've got his whole will somewhere on this in Ancestry. That's it.
Well, that was a great presentation. Wouldn't you all agree?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was great, but it is what it is.
Well, we might have found a link with that Mary.
Yeah.
That was good.
I definitely got to spend more time looking at that because I didn't realize that y'all had seen that name a lot and stuff. So maybe that's
Well, that's what the communications are.
right.
Again, I'm focusing on the descendants and the descendants that are alive now.
Right.
Like yourself, and we're in our, we're seasoned citizens, but we're still alive.
Right.
And we've done our research, and so we have some of the family history that we can pass on. And I never would have known about, Mike McGee and them unless I did my DNA.
Right.
And some of our white cousins, they don't talk to us.
That's a shame. They're missing out. It's their loss.
Yeah, we're not here to point fingers. We're just see you can trace your history, and we have to we have to almost create ours with DNA. But see, the DNA is allowing us to build our family portrait that we're reconstructing our family. That because there was a break with slavery, and so that's why we're able to put it together since slavery. And another thing I wanted to add, this William Moss that in 1850 slave schedule, who was a slave owner, he had like 21 slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and they different ages, male and females. And I believe when they were emancipated, they they retained the Moss name, number one, to the surname in order to reconstruct their family.
Right.
And that's where a lot of these duplications in the black family comes from, because the freed slaves were able to, they could either keep their names or they could use different names. And a lot of it depended on how they were treated.
Right.
And it also was a way for generations like us to be able to discover their family.
Right.
See, so that's what's helped. They had the wisdom to keep their names, their surnames of the slaveholder, in order for the family to reconstruct each other. And so the message is this again. Imagine 21 people were freed at a certain date, and then they were just, a lot of them that they didn't have. Yeah, they were just freed, and they were left out, and that's where the Freedmen Bureau came up. Some of them got help from the slaveholder. The slaveholders got compensated for the number of people, but the people didn't get compensated.
I want to show you one more thing before. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Go ahead, but I would say this. I would say this. Slavery, as bad as it was, I believe that our family was favored. I truly believe that they were favored, that they had the slaveholder had some compassion, had some, for his people.
Right.
I do believe that. Go ahead.
I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I won't.
So
Hi,
Rufus Moss, when was his birthday?
We don't want to deal with that right yet, soon, okay? Let's let him go.
I just want to show you some folks from that I matched my DNA, and I can't. There you go. These two folks here, I matched them, as you can see, at 125 centimorgans, which is pretty close if you think about it, because we're talking about 100 and let's see, 18, 50, 100, 170 years maybe or something. And so I'm at 125 there. These folks, I created a family tree for them best I could. And they appear to go up to Rufus Moss. And then here's Val. And this is Val's niece here. And then this is again, she goes up through Rufus. And then I don't know him. I don't know her. I recognize the name.
You see that? You see Brenda? See that Brenda Moss?
Yeah.
That's Val's niece.
Oh, I didn't know that. I knew
that's Juanita's Juanita, her husband, was a Moss, and that's Juanita and his daughter. That's Brenda Green.
So this is Pat McGee.
That's my big brother.
Yeah. And then this is,
she's with the Meeks.
Yeah. And then here's Rachel. Let's talk about her.
Yeah, that's her daughter. That's the niece of Val.
Yeah.
Now look at this. Some of yours, look at this. Some of yours, you have the paternal side, and then go up some.
They're all paternal side. This has got to be a mistake. That can't be right.
Okay, keep going up and then let's see somebody else. Paternal side. Okay, yeah.
Although I do have on my mother's side, I do have some matches that I haven't run down yet, but I don't think that name looks familiar to me for some reason.
Well, let's go up to your top again. Because Val, she matches me. She does this here. The one right underneath her does that. She does. I can't see about.
I bet she doesn't. These folks, and I'll show you in a tree here. Let me show you here in a tree. These folks, I might not have the right one. There she is. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Uh-huh.
Go up to see. There's Caroline Moss. There's Rufus Moss.
Okay.
Rufus Moss. I think I sent you that email. That it's Rufus and Lucretia, Alabama Moss. Sometimes you see her name is just Alabama.
Yeah, I know, and they're in the census.
Yes, yes. That census you sent me had her as Alabama. Well, see, I matched her as well. So there's a Rufus.
You match Rufus or the
her.
the
Her.
oh you match her.
And I also match, let's see here. What is it here?
Man, I'm glad this is being recorded. I'm sure gonna I'm sure gonna look at this one.
So this is another Anthony that also goes up. He goes up to Rufus as well. So there he is. It's just Rufus here in Lucretia, Alabama. So I have several from this line, and then I have several from, and this is your line here, Jerry. Several. There's Cynthia Barnes, Val's in here. That's this
Yeah.
is there's Monroe right there. See.
Right.
And I match several people. So the point of all that is what I wanted to show you is that I have lots of matches from that area. That's what I wanted to show you.
But
And
why
then,
can't you find, look, would a program show you a common ancestor?
yes. And so it'll show
Which with Val, can you does it have, does it see where it says a common ancestor over here? Does it have one?
Well, what's that's gonna show, and I've looked at this stuff. Let's go here.
Where's Val at?
There's Val.
Does
And
it show a common ancestor on her?
share. Well, it's not going to show a common ancestor because we don't know. It's got to be in a tree somewhere. And so my shared matches. This is my aunt Carmen. I know her, and then it's all these folks here.
Who's Tanner?
Now I think Tanner's white, and I've never.
But
sorry.
oh, okay, look at the common ancestor on him. You and her, yeah.
Well, that's the common.
Just say that. Go up. See the common ancestor. Okay.
Yeah.
Right there. Hold it. Let's go up to Walter Scott Moss. Let's see him.
Yeah, that's that's him. And we relate because there's a tree. See, so this is Jackson Carroll. These are all these folks there's Tanner, there's me, Mineola, but it still gets us back to the same place. We're still trying.
No. Here it is. Here it is right here. Walter. See this Jackson Carroll Moss? That's the same person you're talking about, right?
This is a different Jackson Carroll here. Walter.
Well, go over with that. There where Val's at. Go over.
Val is not going to show Val in here because I don't have a connection for.
Yes, it will, because it said you had a common.
We do have a common ancestor because we both share through DNA one ancestor. It's because we match. Val matches that person, and I match that person. So ancestry is going to show it as a common ancestor. They're not going to tell us. It'll only go up so far.
Okay.
And so it's not going to show Val in this without it, just because as soon as I find that common ancestors, and I know for a fact, then I'm moving all you folks over to my Lewis family tree, and then it'll show all that stuff.
Well, why wouldn't Val show up as one? Look, these people here have like 66 centimorgans and everything else like that. Why don't you pick this Jackson Carroll Moss right here? Pick that one. Jackson Carroll, the fly down, yeah.
It's not going to show that because this is built off of family trees. What it does is it takes DNA from both people takes their family trees or everybody's family tree and tries to munge it together.
I
If
know.
you don't-
Yeah, it's just it's like a beta program.
Yeah, if you don't have a common ancestor in a tree somewhere, it won't know what to do. And that's the whole trick for all of this is finding one common ancestor that says this is the guy, and we can put Jackson Carroll Moss, we can add all these other people to it in a tree somewhere. We just haven't been able to do that, but I really do think he's the guy. And see, these are all the folks from that have family trees, and you can see that I match all kinds of, yeah, it just goes on and on and on and on. Anyway,
That's good.
yeah.
That's
All right.
good.
I just want to show you that. That's all.
Oh man, that's wealth of information. Eddie, have you seen in your research? By the way, thank you for showing up, champ. Have you seen Mary Polly Moss in any of your records that you can remember?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any of that.
Eflin, you have, haven't you?
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of them in Cheryl Powell's tree. Yeah, but I don't see that Lewis.
Okay, well, continue with your question, if you can remember it. You're asking him something.
Oh, I found out when he showed Rufus again. I was trying to see when he's born.
Okay, on that topic again. Tommy, when Rufus sounds, it sounds black. This, a name Rufus sounds.
He is, right? So he's not in my tree. That's a different tree.
You said he is black, huh?
Some of his family that comes off of his tree. A lot of his family, apparently. And I'm related to a lot of people that come off your tree. I can't figure out who the common ancestor is. And it may be more than one, but I kind of doubt it.
Okay. Hello, Faith. Thanks for joining us. The reason why I asked you that is, here's a scenario. Vicariously imagine that we're all, there's 21 enslaved people on the farm, and they're freed. And they have names now.
Right.
And they show up in wills, they show up in, see that. But on the census, they don't show up. The name doesn't show up. So here they are. They're emancipated. They're free. So they're on the same plantation. And then when they're freed, they come out and they have certain names. They use their slave names, and then they use a surname of the slave owner.
Gotcha.
See, so they could very well, when you see where they're born from, it's from records, they could very, very well be relatives. And back then, they didn't have DNA to confirm that they were relatives.
Right.
But now, with the science, and look, this is just us. Can you imagine us having Lewis Gates and his team, his genetics team, take our information and what he could come up with?
Yep.
See, he would be able to connect some of those dots because they have a genetics department. After they get through with all this record that we're doing, they're okay. I'm gonna send it to my genetics department, and then they go through, and we have people on our team, my family right here on this team, who go into chromosomes and painters.
Right.
And they get real deep in it. So, so all I'm saying is that's all. You saw all those bosses that I had that lived in one area, and families migrated together. Not only were they from where they originated after slavery, before slavery. What you've given us is this information about all your relatives that were from Alabama that migrated to Arkansas.
Yes. And so they had slaves in Alabama because they have slave schedules, and then they have slaves in Arkansas because they have slave schedules in Arkansas too. So I'm sure it's all the same people, all moved at the same time,
Right.
regional areas and stuff, and then they started spreading out. And I suspect that your William Moss knew my Moss bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I'm sure he did within the same general area, and they're farming, and he's riverboating up and down the Red River that I've drove.
Right. Him and his brother, Matthew.
Yep, yep. So I'm sure they knew each other. So
And they might have been related.
they could have been, and that's something else I've chased, and I've never been able to, because you can't imagine, well, you can, but it would be difficult for them not to know each other, because your William Moss was there first, right? He shows up earlier
Right.
and so why did all these people decide they're in Alabama farming, and they decide to leave Alabama because somebody in Arkansas told them that there's a big river here and all this farming.
And we have opportunities, yes.
Yep, yep.
And I did research on that William Moss and him and his wife. I believe her name was Elizabeth, and he eventually passed away, I believe, in the 80s, 1880s. And
Yes.
And they're all in, the cemeteries and all that. They have the cemeteries where they are and their family history. But it showed his 1850 slave schedule, his 1860 slave schedule, how many people he had in there. And then right afterwards, that's when 1870 came out, and that's where names came up.
Right, right.
And then William Moss showed up, my third great grandfather, a black man, and his wife Martha showed up in the 1870 census, and their kids were Henry and Reuben, and they had a couple of grandkids. And so that's the ones. That's why I can say that's where I can verify DNA wise where our origins are.
Yes. At that,
I can't verify that. I can verify what they said, that they're from Alabama, but I know for sure that Ozan in 1870, and they a lot of them were in the same area, but they were all in that southwest corner of Arkansas.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up this Jackson Carroll and his dad. I'm going to send you all their slave schedules through email, and it's going to be him and his sons and his daughters, and let you look through those and see if you can find a connection between Alabama and Arkansas. If you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes. I appreciate the information, but again, I'm focusing on the DNA. That could run me down a rabbit hole.
Oh, I think okay, that makes sense.
I just want to focus on you match Val pretty close.
Yeah,
and
very close, actually.
Yeah, and if we don't go no further, I'd let that be my basis. You see?
That's the way I work this is when I'm trying. So Val and I match pretty close, right? That
Yeah.
3 generations, that's pretty close, which tells me that I probably inherited a lot of DNA from that side of my family. I think is what, from my dad's mother, is where that got to me. And so I think that I share more DNA with Val than I do some of my other second and third cousins on the white side. And so that tells me that,
Yeah.
which means I'm blessed, actually.
That means that that means that you are totally blessed, and thank you for sharing the information that you've shared.
Sure.
I did ask you, do you participate? Are you a part of? Do you participate in Jet Match?
I did, and I was cleaning up a bunch of stuff, and I don't use GEDmatch very much. I use Ancestry 100% of the time, either that or FamilySearch.org. So I deleted that account. I'll put that back if you think there's value in having my account up there, and I'll send you my new member number or whatever.
Please.
Yeah, because I removed it. I had it. Actually, on GEDmatch, before I removed it, you and I did match. But it was we did match, but it was really small.
But we did match.
We did match, but it was really small.
Okay, that's fine. But you understand the reason why I'm asking you this. You know, because Ancestor can only go so far, but the Jet Match goes even further. And another thing, Tommy, even when it's whatever Central Morgan's that Jet Match we match, my genealogists on the team, they can take that information and put it in some of these programs and glean more information from it. Like DNA Painter.
Yeah.
They can.
Yeah, one of the recordings has that, where she took you and I and Val and put it through there and showed us which chromosomes matched which and where they came from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And thanks for telling me that, because I will go back.
I'll tell you when I've done it. I'll do it in the next day or so and send you the number and upload my DNA back again.
And I'll do some research and find out how far back. Was that last year, one of the meetings, or was it a couple years ago?
I can't remember.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But those are some things. Those are some of the reasons now. It helps us with connecting for common ancestors through GEDmatch.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me share my screen real quick.
A lot of that, and I just don't, and that's fine. I just don't.
You just don't what?
Use GEDmatch, but that's fine. I don't. I'll put it back.
Oh yeah. We appreciate it if you did that. Let's see here. I'm gonna try something.
See, I've wasted a whole hour of your time here.
No, you haven't.
Y'all need to go back to your agenda, or I'll feel bad that I hijacked your.
Oh man, you don't know how much this means for us to have this. You don't know how much this means for you to be here. Let me see here.
Said he got somebody behind him.
With Eddie?
Somebody standing.
Okay, take a look at this. Can y'all see this? Can y'all see this GEDmatch?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, this is Eddie's and mine. Our kits. There I am. That's my kit number, and that's Eddie's kit number as a comparison. I'm gonna make it bigger. Can you see that it's bigger? Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Okay. This is an example with Eddie and myself. This is what when we first did our research, a couple of years ago. This is one of the reasons why we were able to see our connection. So these are people who match Eddie and match me. And now Eddie, since then, Eddie has, he has meetings every first and third Sunday. And this is this Rila Benjamin, doesn't she show up, Eddie? That your cousin? Rila Benjamin?
Yeah, that's my cousin.
Yeah. And she shows up on your meetings, right?
Yeah,
So I talked to her.
and the one right above her is her sister.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, that's her sister.
Huh.
I know that's Rila. That's Rila's also. Both of those are Rila.
Yeah, those two.
But then the Benjamin T. Benjamin is her niece.
T. Benjamin. Where's that
Yeah.
at?
Bennett.
T. Bennett.
Bennett. Up above.
Oh, right there.
Bennett.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a relative also.
Oh, and there's two of them. This T. Smith too.
Mm-hmm.
But see, they matched me 12 Central Morgans. They're like about a fifth cousin to me, and they're a generation different to Eddie. The same thing, about a fifth generation right there. So, so that's one of the reasons that we we use GEDmatch so that we can find people who have DNA that we wouldn't have found normally, and then we can reach out to them and start building a relationship. So that's one of the tools, and not to mention all the other bells and whistles that we use that GEDmatch program for. So Eddie, how's that new truck running? Show us a picture of it.
It's resting. It's doing fine.
Faith, it's so nice to see you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Thank you for joining the meeting. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? We're glad to have you.
Hi, I missed you all. I've just been trying to adults, and I've been working and going to school, and so I that I've been able to check my emails because of that, and so I was able to make sure I was on time for the meeting, and so I just got out of rehearsal. I am in a virtual play, and so I have my timer set, and that is why I'm here on time with you all, and I'm so glad to see y'all face. I have yet to do my updating on the app for the Ancestry or the Gen Ed, but I am here and I am going to get to it, I promise, but I just want to at least be here and do this part. So I'm blessed to be here and I love y'all and I'm good to see you, Tommy, and I'm glad to hear that what you said about being a part of this and feeling special and salute, and we are thankful for your match and your contributions.
Oh,
Mhm.
what a winner. She's got a winner. Give her an Oscar. Thanks for that positive introduction. Where do you live? Faith, yeah.
I live here in Michigan,
Mhm.
in Flint, in Michigan.
Hmm.
Uh, how when I reached out to you, how did I indicate that we were related on what side of the family? Do you remember?
Yep, my grandmother was the last one to die, which was the matriarch, and uh I did the ancestor DNA test on because everything started falling apart and we didn't know where to find anybody. And when I did it, we got the hit, and it was from her side of the family that we got the hit that we were related. And exactly how, I'm not sure because she was adopted, so those lines are kind of unclear.
Uh, when did I? When did we connect? When did I reach out to you?
20, it had to be about 2020 because this is when I done it.
2020. All right. So would you would you would you give me your email address?
I sure.
You do it through chat, or you can just say what it is.
Okay. BLACK QU
BLACK
QUEEN
Black Queen
148505
148 148 what?
505
Uh-huh.
at yahoo.com.
Let me repeat this again. BLACKQUEEN 148505 at yahoo.com.
Correct.
What is your phone number?
810-341-3087.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you
What,
for having me.
tell me about your play. What do you
It's an online play with the online community. It's just something I'm doing to kind of stay active and pass the time. My granny used to say that idle mind is the devil's playground. So I'm just doing it to stay active and kind of also give other people hope. You know, there's a lot of people that can't get out or are going through stuff. So social network is a way to touch people's lives. And so I kind of do it that way too because of that. So
what have you learned? What have you learned from your DNA results?
I have learned I learned about where I come from originally and not what nobody tell me.
Where's that?
The Bantu region. I learned I have some stuff from Wales, Scottish descent. I also learned that I have family in different parts here in the US, y'all. But as far as that,
Who's the
that's
closest person? Who's the closest person that you matched in DNA? That had high numbers that you match. If you do a shared match.
I don't know that much about it, so I could not answer that. I don't know. I don't know about the numbers and stuff. That's why I get on here and listen to y'all because I don't know how to like do that kind of stuff.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
would
sir.
you agree to one of a coach from our family here to coach you for what you where you're at and build a relationship with you and help you with different tools?
Yes.
Is there anybody that wants to volunteer to coach her?
I need coaching.
I will. I'll personally coach you. I have your number and your email, and we'll start from where we're at, and then we'll build more. We'll build from where you are. You'll probably have to share your tree with me, or share share some of your information with me. What is it that what does she have to share with me in order for me to do some of those fantastic tasks that you do? Eddie?
See, there's no sound.
Right. Basically coming back. I know what to do. So we'll get back together because you have a wealth of information that with this DNA that will help connect you to your family members. People want to know who you are, especially if you said that one of your grandmother or one of them was adopted. But now we have the DNA, and you have a number of matches on both sides of your family. And they want to know who you are, and I know you want to learn more about your family. And obviously, I'm one of them. So I have a responsibility to help you, and that's how a lot of us started, by matching on DNA, them reaching out to me or me reaching out to them.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm willing to do for me.
Evelyn, give her an example of that.
Example of what? I'm sorry.
of starting off with us in our research?
Well, when I started out is through my JID match number and matching with Diane. And then she introduced me to Jerry. And then Jerry took my JID match number and told me that we connect to the Burnells. So that's how I got started on the group.
And we've been together for a few years.
A few years, yeah.
Again, our group meet the first and third Sundays at this time, and Eddie over here, his group meets the first and the third Sundays at 2:00. No, the second and fourth Sundays. Eddie, what do you recommend from the discussion that what do I need from Faith to help her, to begin the process of helping her?
Well, first of all, Faith, you know the kit that you look at in Ancestry, am I correct?
Yes.
So you look in your kit. Have you created a tree just from you and your family where you match on Ancestry?
Yep. I plugged in. Yep. I plugged in information that I knew. Yes.
Okay. There's a way that also that when you get somebody to help you, it would be nice if you shared your DNA listings with the person that's going to work with you. That way they can go and look at your listing and also compare the different DNA centimorgans to tell you in a way what line or how close the next person to you is. So the deal is whoever decides to help you, it would be good to send them an invite to look at your DNA listing as a contributor. And the way that you do that is that when you get on the Ancestry and you start looking at your matches, there's a tab on there called DNA. You want to do a summary. It's called a summary of your DNA.
I got it. I'll be working with you on that. Keep on it.
Okay. Okay. Then you go in there to the settings and go down and you select DNA sharing, and you send them the invite that way. And what that does is helps you. If the good thing about it, the first person that's on your mother's side or your father's side, you want to highlight them or you can put a note under their name. It's a place in Ancestry that you can add a note. And you put in there, this person is related to me on my mother's side. That helps the person that's going to work with you. Starting point, gives you a starting point to start looking. So since you have if you have time, go in there. All you gotta do is do 2 people right now. Once you finish talking, because Jerry says he's gonna help you, just go in there and look and put a note in there to let him know that the person that you're looking for is on certain sides
Oh,
of the family.
shoot. What did I do?
Okay.
Mhm.
Now I have a question. Now, am I allowed to do stuff like that if my account is not paid, like an active paid account?
No. You can actually build your tree without a paid account, but you can't do anything else. You can look at all your matches, but if you allow somebody to look at your listing as a contributor
That you trust.
they can actually go in there and look at your account and do some things with your DNA if they have an account.
I have a question for you, Eddie. How do you?
Let me see. She had a question for Gary.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so So you saying I can go in there and do what you're saying without it being paid? Because my right now is not in pay. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Only thing you can do is add to your tree, your family tree.
okay, so I
which
can't
is
go in there
good.
and make notations.
No,
Okay.
mm-mm.
So can I go in there and invite somebody? So I can't go in there and invite nobody to my link either then.
Yes, you can. You can do that.
Okay. Okay.
You can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can do that. And that's how I do it with a lot of people I work with. They might not have an account, but if they give me access to their DNA listing, then I can go in there and do the research and then communicate with them. This is what we find out. And they can look at it and say, okay, well, this person is on certain side. So you can't work with them. Okay.
And what that does, that
Mhm.
helps. Yeah, like what Eddie
Mhm.
said, that's very helpful. Thanks for those tips, Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll immediately do that, Faith. And you're in what part of Michigan? Part Detroit?
No, I am in Flint. Flint water crisis. Flint, yep.
Flint. Look at that accent. Where are you originally from?
Flint, Michigan, born and raised.
Well, you got that little draw in there. You sure you're not from the South?
I wish I was. Where the good food and Southern hospitality from.
Because I used to travel to Detroit all the time.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm. So I got that answer legally, trying to be proper. Just call it Flint like everybody else. Okay.
Thank y'all so much. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Gracie, can you come on for a minute?
I am on. You
Uh,
see me?
No, we don't see you, but like
Really?
no,
I'm on somebody else's laptop. My laptop broke down.
that's okay. How you
So
doing?
I don't know how to do it. I'm okay.
Good. You
I'm
sound
okay.
you sound stronger and
Yes, I am. I'm a lot stronger. I'm still waiting on what the doctor has to say later on, but I don't go see him till October. So he just told me be careful, no heavy lifting and stuff like that.
okay. Well, we'll be considering continuing our research with you. We'll be looking at different people. Like I think the
I have
task.
something for you right now. Lynn. I'm going to ask you something right
Go ahead.
now.
Go ahead.
I've been trying to do a little stuff since I come out of the hospital, and I come to find out my name I use Irvin is not actually the name of my people. It's IRBY. So we're trying to find out how I get Irvin when there's nobody with that name.
Well, that's a surname, but the matches names are identifiers. DNA are the truth. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just don't get caught up on the surnames
But
because
it's throughout all the obituaries I got is Irby. My grandmother last name was Irby and not Irvin. The grandfather last name was Irby and not Irvin. It was just me and my mom.
well, as long as you when you start doing your research, you start matching people. As long as you match people and whatever their names are, and if they match your DNA, build a relationship with them.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying
Because
to do that.
we can't because when the census people come around and take these censuses, you it's hard to verify. You don't know because you could have a novice person, or vice versa, and people change their names. Sometimes information that they don't want to share exactly.
Right, right.
But when you do find somebody that you can build a relationship, they match you. Do that.
Okay.
So that means that we can't be direct with them and and expect exact information. You know, again,
Mhm.
we are the ones that are putting our family portrait together, and it takes time. But sometimes information is right in front of you, and
Right.
you overlook it because you're not really stepping back and concentrating on what's important.
Well, it's because the cousin I met on Ancestry in South Carolina is the one that's telling me this stuff is incorrect. What I have.
Well, that's as far as we know, that's an opinion until they can verify it. You know, don't let that stop being. If she's a cousin, she's a DNA cousin. Work from that premise. Too many
Yeah.
people get caught up on these here incidentals. Number one, you never knew that person.
Before now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hey, let's don't get all caught up on that. Again, my focus is as much as we've had our conversation with Tommy about our ancestors.
Mhm.
As long as the good Lord allows me to live, I want to connect us now, the ones
Right.
that we can see and talk and see the white of each other's eyes and carry on conversations.
Mhm.
Whether it's on this format, on the phone, let's build a relationship. That's all I'm asking you.
Well,
So,
that's what I'm trying to do here.
okay, you are, and you know what? You came, you 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 came with the assignment you had the last time to this time. You have accomplished that task, and I want to commend you for all that you've done. You've done a great job.
Thank you. Just because you be calling me, it's encouraging me.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I have a lot of love for you, and you're going through some storms. I
Yes.
just say, just keep the faith and hold that rope, and He's gonna pull you out of it. And he's done it this long, and so
Yes.
give him something to work with. I just get a little when I sense depression or some self 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 denial, those kind of,
Mhm.
I react to them, and I just want to be an encourager, a comforter, and to you build me up. But like sometimes I'm that way, and I would pray that each one of you will help me too.
Yes.
Give me some
Yes.
encouragement. But we're gonna go through some storms in our lives,
Mhm.
and you're just gonna have to keep moving, keep stepping, and keep the faith. He's got
Keep
us
the
this
faith.
far. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's where we're at today. We had a great meeting. I'm going to, ask for closing comments. Does anybody have any questions before I do that? I had some other things we did talk about GEDmatch, uh, Family Tree Maker. That's another software program that we have. And, we'll go into that a little more deeper at our next meeting. Tommy, are you familiar with the Family Tree Maker program? I'm just asking. Are you?
I have,
Tommy.
I use Ancestry for that, so I'm happy there.
Are you familiar with the Family Tree Maker program?
I am.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what we're using now. Eddie and myself and a few of other ones. After we ascertain the information, we're able to print out a PDF file of our family history
I see.
for generations.
Yeah.
And then we can just send that to a person, and they can look through the whole document.
Gotcha.
PDF file, and I'll send you one of mine.
Okay. Good.
And what Eddie has been able to do, I haven't gotten it down to this degree. Somebody would send a tree. One of the members would send him a tree through email, and then he would open up the family tree maker and print out, upload it to,
Right. Right.
and then publish a genealogy chart that goes back 12 generations,
Right.
and in a PDF form that you can just go right down the list,
Gotcha.
your
Gotcha.
family.
Yeah.
And that's a good tool to use with somebody who doesn't know very much about their family, but you know that they're related to you on
Right.
a
Right.
certain side of the family, and you can give that to them, and then that helps them with their research.
Right.
And what we're doing out here in California, there's going to be there has been a reparations task force
Right.
that submitted the task force report to the legislature,
Right.
and
What you doing?
then there's going to be some criteria that we're going to have to prove that we can document ancestors were enslaved before 1900 anywhere in the United States. And
Right.
that's where our records come in, where we can submit our records
Right.
in order to qualify, because it's based on lineage, not race. That's one of the criteria.
I see. I see.
Can't see what? You can't see me.
And so that's going to be, so we were just doing research all these years, and now all of a sudden we got a task force that's
Right.
lineage based, and
Right.
we have the information. So the fact that we've learned the information, now we have to be teachers. If you learn, teach,
Right.
you
Right.
share. So I want to share this information to as many people as possible, especially my family members.
Mhm.
So, because the reparations out here will be to the person and their descendants.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
they qualify to the descendants. So if I have records, my records, I can give them to my descendants here in California. They can use that and go apply for reparations.
Do they have a blueprint on how they want that to look? Is there a form or?
Not yet, but it's based off of 5 atrocities.
I saw something about that, but I didn't understand how the information was going to be presented. So,
What's an example? Ask me a question on that.
so what are they looking for as far? So
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some information you've got to put together, right? In some
Yes.
form or fashion. And so, do they have guidelines on how to do that?
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay.
and they'll be teaching, and they'll be helping, they'll be reaching out. They're going to have educational forums for the community, and they want to make it user friendly on how to apply, and less restrictive. But
Right.
you're still going to have some work. You're going to have documentation.
I see. That's interesting.
Oh, yes, it is. And they've studied it for 2 years, and now it's in the legislature and going through committees, and so that's the process right there.
Yeah. So they getting close to passing it, or are they
not passing it? But the fact that the seed has been done, a lot of work has been done, a lot of input from a number of people, our committee, task force, all across California for 2 years, monthly meetings, and input from the public, politicians, and it was laborious. So they came up with a final report, and it's called the California Reparations Task Force report. And then you can see the whole process.
That's
and one of the main things is the criteria for qualifications, and that lineage based. And so how can you prove your lineage?
DNA and census and
That and
Yeah, he okay.
the different records, family search. So it's just a blessing that we were doing it to fill our family portrait and reconstruct our family.
Right.
And now it's the information that we've done. This is part of the harvest.
Yeah, there's the millions of folks that are going to have to start from scratch.
Right.
Because they've never looked into any of this. Yeah.
They never have.
It's a steep learning curve.
And there's a number of people that have relatives who live in California that are in other states. You know,
Right.
they have relatives in California.
Right.
That don't know about this. And so we'll be the tool, the messengers, and our records will help them. But let me say this to you: self-preservation is the first law of nature.
You're right.
So that's my initial focus. What's important now?
Yep. Very good.
Okay. Closing remarks. Jerry, Faith, and then Gracie. Some closing comments on what you thought of the meeting, or what you the process, and it's just one of the reasons why you joined in today. Just closing comments, please. Jerry Jr. Okay, let's go with Faith, please. Some closing comments.
Great meeting, very informational. And I guess my question would be, as far as the reparation task force there in California, that just applies for California, correct?
Yes, that's for California, but there is one, a national one, that's in the U.S. Legislature that's been there for almost 40 years. It's beginning to surface. There's more interest across the country, but this is like a pilot program for the state that there's been a lot of input from people, politicians, scientists, financial advisors, genealogists. It was a thorough task force that traveled the state in different cities and had input, and they came up with a report. And the reparations are going to be based off of atrocities that were that they can identify, and that they can quantify in monetary values, and also in they want to the key is to repair, and also return what was taken. So and there's a way of presenting it. You have to be humble. You have to have your facts and make your presentations. It's my little beast. Hold it, Lexus. Calm down. Okay, another question, Faith, on that? Gracie?
Yes, sir. Well, I don't have much to say because I came on real late. And I've been trying to get on so I can hear what everyone has to say. But I enjoyed the little I did here. And I wish I could have heard more Faith's story. Maybe another time. Jerry, I thank you very much for keeping me sane, I guess you could say it. Because if it wasn't for you constantly calling me and keeping me uplifted, I don't know how I would be right now. So
Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much. For much is given, much is required. And,
Yeah, and
and I know,
hopefully I can get my laptop. I'm gonna take it to church and see if somebody can find out what's wrong with it and get it to working. So, because I was like, oh, I gotta do work for Jerry because he told me I had to come on it, and I can't get my computer to work. So, I'm gonna work at it.
well, you look beautiful from all that you've been through and going
You can
through.
see me.
Heck yeah, we can see you.
You told me you couldn't see me.
That was earlier. Now we can.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
see
you know,
your, we
I'm
see your long, beautiful hair, that
yeah, right.
beautiful smile. Yeah, we see you.
Yes. Yeah. So
And the
you know,
most important,
I always enjoy coming on because I'm always being encouraged and I'm always wanting to dig just a little bit more. Like you said, you got to do it for yourself. You got to try. So I'm trying. At first, I wasn't. I really wasn't. But now I'm more interested in it. And I'm somewhat almost got my sister there, almost. But I hope I get her to join. Yeah.
well, we can see your, your growth and, and in your smile.
Yes.
Closing comments, champ, Eddie, you're on mute.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My, well, my comment is that everybody has to remember that in order to get information, you have to work to find the information. Tommy has a good format that I came on late and listened to him, and the thing with Tommy, there is a way that you can find your common connection through DNA is basically, but you have to compare other people's kit that's related to you. And that line, the higher the centimorgans come up, when you compare other kits to that same person, telling you what line is directly they're coming from. So that's what you look at. If you compare different people's kit and you look at the centimorgans with someone else, if there's more higher than the next person, that means it's pointing to a certain line of family members. So that's something you look at. And to Faith, I know you're just getting started and you want to find out, but you have to do the work yourself too. I mean, you gotta provide us with all the information you need, or some of the information, so that so other people can help you with your research. So one comment is that everybody needs to continue to work and then really start looking at what you have, because I think, Tommy, I have to give you kudos, man. You have a good format that all you do. It only, like you said, only takes one person for you to draw everybody in it, and it's sitting right in front of you. You just got to look at it a little closer. But you do have you're on the right track.
Thank you.
So that's my final comment.
Thank you, Eddie.
Mhm.
Tommy?
I don't have anything. Just thanks for letting me join, and you've heard me talk too much already today. So,
Well, I wanted to follow up on that. Just by being here, Eddie just said something that was very important. There is a way, we do have the capacity in our group to come up with a common ancestor. There's tools to use. Did you hear what he said about comparing?
right. But so I know what he's talking about comparing, and I know how to do that. The question was more that what I understand the question was more of proving that this person is exactly the person, and this person that is exactly the person that was responsible for all of this, when you can't get any closer than location and DNA. In other words, it could be him, but it could be a brother of his, or it could have been his father, or it could have been a cousin that did it. It's hard to pinpoint the exact person. As far as taking one person and saying, okay, I picked my cousin, how many people match me and my cousin? Well, I can tell which side of the family they're on just by whether they match my mother's family or they match my father's family, right? So you could do that, but I think I know what Eddie's talking about, and that's more with GEDmatch and
No, it's not. That's not with GEDmatch, Tommy. That's just with your centimorgans, period. But,
right.
if you're,
yeah, I understand that and how deep to take it. I just can't prove one person versus another person and say that's exactly the person that is the common ancestor when it could be his brother. You see this all the time when they're doing genetic.
But see, the thing is that if he got so many siblings, what you have to do is go. If you know a connection through the other brother's siblings, that's where you look at. And if they're there, their centimorgans will be a higher number than if it's another relative.
Correct.
So that's what you're looking for. You got it there. You just gotta follow the centimorgans and the way they are shown higher or less. Because I'm doing that right now with a relative that I have all my first cousins. I have a lot of my first cousins kids that I work with.
Right.
This person popped up as a second cousin and never seen them before in my life. But what I did, I compared their centimorgans to all of my relatives that I have kid.
Yeah.
And if the kid is say with me, the centimorgans is 120.
Right.
But with one of my relatives, it's 150. That means that person came from a line of one of my relatives, which I know all that.
Right.
So I automatically put them in that line. That's how you would do it.
The problem that I get into here is that I match some of these folks closer in centimorgans than history, than the time frame. In other words, they're closer. This should be closer. Second and third cousins, that's pretty close, right? When they're estimating the number of centimorgans, that's pretty close. And these people are 5 generations away at least.
Well, okay. Well, you pin. We're gonna get that disparity in there, but then that's your job is to go back and try to figure out why they're coming in as a 5th generation.
Yeah, I've got disparity amongst, say, my cousins that I know. My father and her father are brothers, right? Well, we're not as close as some of my other cousins, but we're still first cousins, right? So there's a lot of estimation that goes on in there, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you get to that point though.
Yeah,
but
I just
be honest with you, our DNA spreads wide because of slavery. So you're gonna get you won't get an exact. Only way you get an exact if it was like you said, your father and his brother, and then you look at all their children, for a fact that they are who they are.
Right.
So that's how you really look at it. That's where the factual come in when you start looking at the siblings and that you really know. When you find somebody that's in that line, then you know for a fact that person matched, even though they might come up as a second or a third cousin, but you know the line in which they came from.
Right.
So that's it. And then if you know that line, if you know their parents, your father's parents, then you got the person right there. That's an exact. That's an exact.
The problem that I get into is that when you go back, 150 years, it's hard to tell. So much of that, there's so much estimation that comes in between the centimorgans. You say, okay, it could be a second cousin. It could be a first cousin one time removed, one generation removed. It could be a third cousin, one generation removed. You get a lot of, so I look at it as how many chances does that have to mix?
But the thing about, do you understand when they talk about one generation, first cousin once removed, two cousins, second cousin
yes,
removed. All
yes.
of it is telling you the line in which that person came from
Right. How many hops
automatically.
up and how many hops
No,
down?
all this is telling you the exact line. When you say first cousin once removed, that's
Right.
saying that your first cousin had a child, that child had a child, that child had a child. So
Right.
actually, all of them are from the first cousin, and you go just looking at their children.
Right. Right.
So if you know your first cousin was your dad, your father's brother's child, then everybody else in that line, second, first cousin, once removed, and stuff like that, are from that exact line.
Right. Right.
So that's what you're looking at, the difference and all that. So sometimes we have a tendency to over research what we look at, and it's sitting right in front of
Right. I agree. 100%.
you.
That's
So
the reason it's always good to get other eyes looking at it.
right.
Because people will back out and go, "You're missing it." Yeah. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, go ahead, Jerry. I'm not gonna say anything else. I'm done. But Tommy, great job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. I just preached a good sermon. That's why Jerry just looking at me.
Well, it was good to see the dialogue back and forth. It's been a while since I talked with Tommy on this format, and then for both of you to discuss that topic. Sometimes you have to learn. I learn more with my eyes and my ears, and however long that conversation would have went, it was very informative, wasn't it?
It's great. That's the only way you learn is again from somebody, Eddie, somebody saying, "Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that?" And then I'll go back and sit in my chair for a couple hours and go, "Oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?" And come back in here and start working on it. So, and the same thing with you sending me the 1870 census of Rufus and Reuben. I've never seen that, and it got me thinking. I wonder where my bunch all went in 1870 because they don't show up. You know, the folks I'm looking for. So, but thanks again for having me.
Well,
Appreciate
that was just in one township. I have some of my other family members that are in other, Springfield. They're in different areas. They're the same relatives. You see what I mean?
Right.
But I did want to give you something. You gave me that
Jerry,
information.
I don't want to cut you off, but I gotta leave. I got another meeting I gotta attend to.
Go ahead, Eddie.
So
Thank you
I'll
so
see
much.
y'all. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks
Next
again.
week.
All right.
Next
All
week
right.
for you.
Okay.
Okay. But that's one reason why I gave you something to chew on, as they say. I sent you that information so you could see it, and now by our conversations today, we were able to explore it even further. Yeah, Jerry, we were going for closing comments. Do you have any?
Nothing much. Just it was good seeing everybody. Good seeing you, Faith, for the first time. Hope to see you again. And Tommy, you the bomb. Anytime you're here, hopefully I am here. I want to just continue to catch up with you and learn as you learn, because I never thought it get to this point. I mean, this is a surprise, and it's a wonderful surprise. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't think anybody expected we'd get this type of insight directly from somebody that we're actually related to who is white.
Yeah.
I mean, it's invaluable. So like I said, thank you again. And Gracie,
Yes.
we always praying for you, and I hope you get that laptop fixed. If you don't get it fixed, we'll put together a few dollars and we'll buy you one. We'll send it to you, okay?
Okay.
You just let us know.
Okay.
All right, that's a promise.
Thank you.
Okay, I gotta go. I'll take care of y'all.
Okay, much love.
All right, Pop.
And my closing comments are, what an awesome meeting. Now, I'd much rather work with a small number that are together than a lot that are divided and scattered. We covered a lot of ground. It is recorded, and we'll be able to review it and at our own pace, and then glean what we can from it and build. And whatever you do, share with others.
Yes.
It's all good. It's all God. Peace.
Bye.
Man,
Bye, everybody.
bye.
See you, Gracie.
See you. See you then.
What's up, Bob?
Your blood.
What's happening?
Phenomenal.
Man, that was a nice meeting right there. Really informative.
Sure was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, God made it. He made this information come to fruition after all these years. We were able to knock on the door and somebody answered. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
We sure have been knocking.
I mean that, and Tommy, he had records, he had receipts, and then people had our last name, and we had theirs.
Yes.
And especially I know I speak for a lot of Black people. Everybody says, we got some white in us somehow or some way because of what happened, in the past. Well, ain't none of them been able to sit in front of one of some white people and say, hey, yeah, you're right with what you were saying. And I'm one of them. I'm related to you. Now what?
Through DNA.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. I mean, woo. I mean, that's some stuff. I ain't seen it on CNN, MSNBC. Never gonna see it on Fox, but it was, man, it was so nice. And just goes to show you there's a lot of good people out in the world. There's more good people than bad, and Tommy's one of the good ones.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
blessing.
So
It's a blessing.
he was very patient, and he was assertive and very knowledgeable, and shared what he, the information he had.
Yeah.
So thank you for being there and recognizing the the value of these meetings, and my purpose. And,
Oh, yeah.
I've learned a lot.
I can imagine. I learn something every time I show up. Just listening, I mean, you ain't got to say a word, just listen. And if you listen long enough, see, it's starting to get it. You don't just sit down here at first time and, oh, I understand. No, I know what it is. No, it's a lot deeper than that. And so this is just my training, and I'm just quiet and learning, and just, I'm gonna continue to learn, and one day be in a position that when you say you want to help somebody, I want to raise my hand and help Faith. So
Yes.
it's just a beautiful situation that you set up for a lot of people. And I thank you for it. It takes a special person to do that. It's a selfless kind of a opportunity. Sure, you get a lot out of it, you learn about yours, but all the people that you affect in a positive way and what they've learned, and then what they're gonna eventually end up teaching somebody else and showing somebody else. And then you're doing something right when the haters show up and they got something hated to say, like a girl, she talking about her cousin, talking about, well, that's not your name, and all this and that. That means you're on the right track. You gotta have haters now. If you don't have haters, you ain't doing it right.
Right. And we just we just pressed right on through it. So go on and handle your business, and
Okay.
thank you for standing in and being here. It means so much to me.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Appreciate you for having me. Love you.
Hey, when you get a quick second, could you call me? I got
Okay.
I got something I want to share with you.
Okay,
All right, it's all good. It's all good.
all right.